Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Pro Detailers podcast, hosted by yours truly, Blue Bolden, and my big homie, Jalene Getman.
We are going to bring detailers in from all around the US and have them talk to you guys about how they got started, products that they love, and tips and tricks to help make the job a little bit easier. Make sure to like and subscribe to all of our other social media outlets. And once again, thank you so much for tuning in.
Yes. Enjoy today's episode.
I want to just kind of I don't even know if Blue knows, but you're probably the main reason why I'm even on social media or doing anything of that nature. And
really?
I don't even remember I did not realize how big of a thing YouTube was. I just didn't get the whole, I wasn't on it that often. And we're so consumed here with, we're a small manufacturing facility. So everybody has to wear different hats and we're constantly doing different things. And I wasn't even going there. And then I think you reached out to me maybe, or I don't remember how the connection.
I think so. I think I had a question about something because I've used Superior products for probably at least 20 years. And then I saw you online and I'm like, awesome. Because I remember back in the day, and I think it was your dad, he used to travel around. He would bring products to the local O'Reilly's and wanted to try them out. And at the time, I'm a smaller operation now, but back in the day, I had quite a few employees. I had so many different operations going. I was using the chemicals nonstop. So when he would drop them off, the manager there, James, would turn around and give them to me and be like, hey, try these out, see what you think. And that's how I got into wire wheel, coverall, and dirt buster. Those were my three chemicals that I used nonstop. I think my hands, because this is back before PPE was a big thing, I would take triple aught steel wool and wire wheel cleaner and everything chrome that had rust. And then, I was in my early 20s. I didn't think about that. And my hands would always be so dry, cracked, and bleeding. And I'm like, thanks, wire wheel cleaner.
Yeah, that's one of the many things it'll do. You got to be careful with that.
So before you go any further, I want you to shout out your business.
I forgot
we just started talking about good old buddy.
Sorry.
So, but shout out your business, your location, and how people can contact you on social media.
I'm Angie Barba. I own Emerge Custom Creations. And then I've also got Knockout Body and Paint. I'm in Richland, Missouri. And on social media, Angie Barba. Or I'm horrible about keeping up with my social media. I've taken a Facebook hiatus because people just piss me off.
I think we all do. Yeah. Got to step back and reset.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I've never really been big on social media, but I got involved in some of the forums. A couple people I know that I've done business with for years, or they are associates of mine with other businesses. They're like, hey, we need a female moderator. And that's kind of how I got involved in the Facebook groups. I think one of our groups has 200,000 members, and then Detailing for Money, I think we're up almost to 60,000. And then I started getting girls reaching out to me and asking for advice and stuff like that. And I just kind of stuck around, and I monitored my social media a little bit more than usual, because I haven't been on social media but maybe 5 years.
When we reached out, I think that you had just realized, there's somebody that I can connect with to ask questions, or if you need something, or something isn't going right with O'Reilly's. And then, we had a little bit of a conversation, and you were like, I'm involved in these other groups, and there are constantly questions getting asked, about this product and about that product. And you were like, have you ever thought about doing, your own, Facebook page that's just for Superior?
So how long ago was this?
I mean, maybe what do you think? 2 years ago?
Yeah, it was probably 2 or 3. I had just recently, see, I had my shop in Crocker, and then I was over cars. I'm like, I'm going to be a lawyer, like knock out my undergrad, went off to Springfield. And when I talked to you, I had just came back to my area and started a new business. And I've only been back 3-4 years.
Yeah. What attracted you? Because I know you said back in the day when you were in your 20s, what attracted you to the automobile industry?
I've always liked cars. Like, I'm a big Mustang fan.
Okay. Was that your first car? Mustang?
No.
Okay.
My first car was a 96 Mazda Protege.
Okay.
And then I got a Mustang.
Okay. I knew it was coming soon.
Yep. I didn't have that car a year. I was 16 in 96, and I lived in St. Louis at the time. And I got the Mazda Protege, and I was T-boned on my way to soccer practice. Oh. And then I'm like, Mom, I have to have a Mustang. Have to. And she caved and bought me a Mustang. And then it's been there ever since. And then, like a rebellious teenager, my mom, are you guys familiar with like SSM DePaul?
Yeah, the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom used to be like CEO of SSM and CFO. And so we lived in that area, and she was always busy, and I was rebellious. So I'm like, I'm going to live with my dad, and completely different environments. My mom is like, I don't want to say
balling.
I was gonna say bougie.
Bougie, balling. I'm with your mom.
But my mom is like, came from nothing, really dedicated. She's got so many degrees. She's a law student. She's a CPA. Gonna be forever a student. And then you've got my dad.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I want to kick it with the dad already.
I'll kick it with your mom.
Well, my dad had a rough upbringing, like gang leader, drug dealer, drug addict. And then he got clean once we got older. But at the time he was single, and I'm like, no rules. I'm going to live with my dad, because my mom was uber structured. Like, she had my whole life planned out for me.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm living with my dad and BFE. I get down here and I'm like, what is this? I thought, like, they're like, hey, you want to go on a hayride? And I'm like, how the hell do you ride hay? Like, what is a hayride? I think in my mind, I thought like big rope tied from like a barn rafter, and like you swung on the hay.
That is
so I showed up and they got hay on a trailer, and I'm like, okay, I can dig this. Like, I thought it was like riding a bull, like we were going to ride hay or something.
Right.
But my dad was still a little bit wild back in the day, and he was never home. And I moved out my junior year, met my husband, and he was a country boy, worked on his vehicles. And I just started helping. And then I got a job with a guy. My dad does construction. He partnered up with a guy that owned a body shop in St. Robert, which I'm near Fort Leonard Wood, right off I-44, Waynesville, Fort Leonard Wood area.
Okay.
And he needed somebody in the office, and I'm 18 at the time. And I thought it was going to be a simple job. Well, then I ended up getting like ICAR certified in auto body estimation. And he was an absentee owner, so a lot of those responsibilities fell onto me. And I'm the oldest child, so I've got oldest child syndrome, right? Like, you have to nurse everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it. He sold the business, and instead of me going to get another job, I'm just like, I want to sell cars. And so I started selling cars. Shop, I think I was 20 when I started A&A Automotive in Crocker, and I did that till I was 33, 34.
Okay. So you did a lot of paint and body. Did you do like repairs, like full auto body shop? And
I had two. Oh, so what my main specialty was auto repair. I did engines and transmissions. I was a dealer for Jasper Engines and Transmissions. So we did a lot of their work. I'm near a military installation. And so we get a lot of influx quite frequently. People come and then they leave, and Jasper offers a nationwide warranty. So I was able to sell them on those services, and I did pretty well. And then I had the dealership, which is how I got involved with Superior Products.
Okay.
Is I had hired a couple detailers and they were horrible. So I'm like, I'm going to have to do it myself. And I asked Darren Bowling over at the St. Robert's store, I'm like, what do I use? Because the chemicals I was using from like Walmart, they weren't cutting it. And that's how I got introduced to Superior Products.
Okay.
So when you started, I'm sorry,
actually she answered 3 questions.
Oh, good. So, like if you were going to give a suggestion or like a recommendation to somebody who may want to get started in the body shop industry, or, just get going in that direction, like what kind of schooling or like certifications or like all of that, what did you go through, on that side of the business?
For me personally, I did a lot of the admin stuff like estimation through iCar. I used to be kind of a lazy person. I would just hire people. If I needed something done, I would find somebody. I can't tell you how many dealership mechanics and painters and auto body that I've like swiped. Okay. I'll offer them a little bit more an hour, because you're only as good as your weakest link. Mm-hmm. And so because at the time I didn't have the skill to do a whole lot, I had to pay people to bring them in to my organization, and I built from there.
Okay. So you found the people that you needed and then brought them in. So you just knew what you were looking for and where to find them.
Yes, I had been in the industry for so long, and I knew how to deal with insurance. I knew how to write claims, process claims, because that's a little bit more detailed than people think. You got to know structurally, like what to do to make sure that this vehicle is roadworthy and it's safe. I didn't ever have a frame rack. So then I partnered up with other local businesses and sublet the repairs. Just because you can't do something in-house doesn't mean you need to turn away the work.
Right.
You network, you find the people that can meet your needs, and so you become like a one-stop shop.
What advice would you give a female that is wanting to enter this business?
Get thick skin.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we can cuss on podcasts or not, but you've got to have thick skin. I cannot tell you the amount of times that I've had people come into my shop and let me talk to the man in charge.
Yeah.
Let me talk to your husband.
Yeah.
And it used to hurt my feelings, right? Because I probably know more about cars than 80% of the male population.
Right.
Like I'm trained in diagnostics with Snap-on. Mm-hmm. When it comes to diagnostics, I'm really, really good at it. I'm little. I'm about 125, 130 pounds, and I do not physically go under there, but I've been around enough. I mean, I help my guys when they need it.
Right.
But you have to be good at something, and you need to know how to run a business, manage people, manage communication. Right. If I were to tell somebody the most valuable thing they can learn, and that is how to communicate effectively with your employees.
Yeah.
And you have to be a team player.
Yeah.
You are only as strong as your weakest link.
Going back to, I think that you need to really just, can you cuss? Like, you got to know your shit, right? Like, hey, Paul, can we cuss on podcasts? Is that allowed?
Absolutely.
Will we get knocked off?
No, there's a checkbox that says explicit content.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, definitely check that box for our show.
Well, I worked in the entertainment industry before this, and I could physically talk to somebody, and they would still email me and call and ask for Mr. Bolden. Oh, that's me. I'm her, But it didn't bother me because I kind of know how people, are when it comes to certain industries. But yeah, I would get called Mr. Bolden a lot.
In St. Louis, it's a little bit more common. You see females more in, male dominated industries up there than you do here. I am in small town America. Population 1,500 in Richland, maybe 1,200 in Crocker. A lot of farmers, rural, very, very rural. And these people we're in the Bible Belt. And so a lot of things that these people think are so generational, that's just how they're taught to believe and think that, a woman needs to know her place. Right. You get some of these men that they're just assholes.
Yeah, I'm still looking for my place. I haven't found my place.
Absolutely. I'm very introverted. Like my social media presence and who I am in real life they're the same because I've got a little bit of attitude.
Right.
But when it comes to face-to-face talking, my customers, my job, I'm good. Right. When it comes to like my personal life and certain things, I just would rather not even talk about it because we're in an area that is so judgmental. And it's just insane that in 2021, we still have discrimination bias. It just blows my mind that in these smaller communities, it can be a struggle to be a small business owner, to be a female.
I think that come with just being in your own space and not getting out and experiencing, because I tell people all the time, if you have the means or the opportunity, you should travel, because a lot of times when you're just to yourself, you have all these thoughts and things going on about how it is. And then when you get out here, it's like, oh, no, it's not really that bad.
Absolutely.
If you stay to yourself and stuck to yourself and you're just in this rotation on this wheel, and I mean, you're no culture, and you're doing the same thing every day. I probably would be that way too.
90% of the world's problems could be solved by travel. Our nation is so divided right now. And if people would, put people over politics, they'd find that the people that they hate are really no different than them themselves. We pretty much all have decent moral foundations. But now it's just so divided, vaxxed, not vaxxed, liberal, conservative. I am a conservative, but I've got very liberal. And I'll just say this, there's a few people in our industry that know, but I'm recently out, right? So like part of the LGBT community, and being that as well as a conservative, you get hate from both sides. They're like, well, like you're an oxymoron. Like, how does that even work? Just because I am a conservative, I'm very conservative because I own a small business. Like policy matters. I believe in personal responsibility. I think we should have small, limited government interference. And I don't think people understand economics or civics or like how everything works.
I think that if you're a female and you're wanting to get started, you've got to know your business, you've got to know your product, you've got to know, finding the right people is very difficult right now because a lot of people don't want to work. And then the people that do want to work, they want to get paid a lot of money. And if you're a small company, you might not have a lot of money to pay them. So
that is a topic all into of itself right now.
So did you ever have like a female staff? Not saying a whole entire female staff, but did you have any people like yourself along your journey?
I've had a couple, and I will tell you that on the detailing side, and on the bodywork side, not so much mechanics. I've got a couple girls that I let come in here, and they'll change their own oil. I've showed them how to change their own oil, replace a serpentine belt, small things like that. And I let them use my shop to do that. So they've got my guidance. But females, 9 times out of 10 are better than males. No joke.
I'll take that.
They are more particular. They don't break bolt. Men get in there with a wrench and they'll put their weight and they'll snap the head, and then I'm having to drill it out to tap the bolt out. Women aren't like that. Women are very they're more detail oriented.
Yeah.
And on the detailing side, men, I can only speak for myself, but my male employees, they will grab chemicals, even if I train them on what chemicals to use. They will grab chemicals and start spraying it on a panel, and I'm like, you can't do that.
Yeah,
Like,
I hear that a lot when I was going on calls out
Mhm.
and traveling. You know, they'll say, "Hey, do you have anything that's dummy proof?" Not calling anybody dummy, but you know, well, no, this is too complicated because my guys won't read the bottle. They're just going to pour. You know, so I heard that a lot when I was traveling and doing my cell call. So
people don't understand concentrates, right? And I think if, like with Superior products, I love the concentrates, but then on the other end, I wish we had some more ready to use, just so I would keep a couple gallons just for some of my employees, because they don't understand dilution ratios. And you know, some of the chemicals, they'll take the finish off a panel if you do not. I've had a guy take straight Muscle Magic to a new GM vehicle, and I'm just like, Jesus, thank you. There's $200.
oh,
You know, and people are lazy. They want to just grab a bottle and spray. They don't want to read the label.
Everybody always asks us, well, how are we supposed to dilute it? Well, what's the dilution ratio? You know, oh, well, how? And it really, the dilution ratio, it's going to depend on the job, number one. But when I was out in the field and they would ask, well, you know, how do we dilute it? I would always sell a 1 gallon container. I would say grab an empty 5 gallon, because our 5s are the square buckets that you can, you know, just dispense product right out of. Buy a gallon of our stuff, put it in the 5, and then fill the rest up with water. And then have all of your ready to use 5s lined up so that when you bring in a new person, or you have somebody that's just, you know, grabbing product and not paying attention to it, it's already diluted 4-to-1. You can always add more chemical, you know, if you need it, but you can't do the other, you know, like you have to just have it ready to go for these guys, because if not, they'll just grab it and start spraying stuff. And then they call us and they're like, hey, your product ruined. And I'm like, okay, well,
no,
use it.
yeah.
I think, and I've grabbed this out of my shop. I would be in there, but the air compressor is so noisy. I think one of the most underrated things you guys have are these, and I don't think enough people know about them. I probably have 30 to 40 of these in my shop.
So for people that are listening to this, not watching, she's talking about the wax compound bottles.
Right now it's got lacquer thinner. You can put the, not prep sol, the final sol, that in there. You can put, I use them for my compounds. You can use them for your waxes. They're just so convenient, and you can fit so many of them on your roll around cart. And having just a jug of lacquer thinner around you constantly makes life so much easier. And people always ask, they call them mustard bottles.
The little
squeezable.
Yeah.
And most people don't know about Superior makes those. They just don't know. Because I'm like, well, grab a few from your O'Reilly's. They're like, my O'Reilly's doesn't have them. I'm like, well, mine does. That's how I found them. There's so many products that Superior makes that people don't even know about.
I push the tire dressing in those. You know, if somebody asks, oh, well, your tire dressing flings or whatever. And I'm like, there's too much on there. Like, you need such a small amount. And if you take like liquid coverall and you put it in a ketchup bottle and you just squirt it onto an applicator, and then you can just wipe everything down. You can control the overspray, and you can just, you know, it's so much easier to use it that way. But no, those little ketchup bottles are pretty handy.
Well, I was going to ask, speaking of Superior products, what are some of your favorite products?
It doesn't have to be Superior. I know, but you know, we keep telling people we're going to talk about everything, but everybody that we've interviewed loves Superior.
Yeah,
obviously.
I will say I've used a lot of chemicals. I mean, I've got shelves and shelves and shelves in my shop of chemicals. Superior are my most used chemicals. I don't say that just because I'm on this podcast. I say that because they're economical. They're effective and they're economical, and you get a lot of bang for your buck. And your overhead, your materials, they matter. They matter to that bottom line. And especially when you're in our industry and, you know, when you're getting new detailers starting out, this isn't an industry that pays our employees over the top. Like, you're not going to, unless you're going to be a shop owner, you're not going to become a detailer and make your millions. You're just, you know, it's the type of entry level job that leads to other things. But waste is a huge thing. And I bought $60 bottles of chemical, and they are just not as effective as the gallons that I buy, or the 5 gallons. And I bought 55 gallons from you guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Muscle Magic used to be my jam. Everything, my shop floors, my metal, 'cause my buildings are all metal. They're metal inside and metal outside. And I would spray Muscle Magic and it'll cut through some pretty gnarly stuff, like even paint overspray. You know, like in my paint booths, I wash my walls down. I spray it with Muscle Magic, and then I'll take the pressure washer.
Yeah.
Right after, and it cleans it. I saw that you guys had a concrete cleaner. I've never used it on the website.
Yeah, it's a granulated powder.
Oh,
So,
the concrete
is it?
floor cleaner.
Yeah, some people prefer that, you know, but I always, you know, sell either Muscle. And if you do have a floor that you had kind of treated and it looks really nice, then I'll sell them Road Warrior, because it's a soap / degreaser.
That powdered stuff, if you've used any concrete floor cleaner, it's like starts off orange, and then when the water hits it, it turns green. It looks kind of gross down there, but it's good.
My favorite products will always be Wire Wheel. I think that people don't understand that it is so they hear an acid-based cleaner and they get kind of scared. But I use that to prep a vehicle. You know, you dilute it down and you can prep it. I use a lot of Purple Prep too.
Okay.
But is it still called Purple Prep? I will always call it Purple Prep.
But you know what? We should write a note. We'll send you, we have a concentrated version that we just formulated. It hasn't been released yet, but we'll send you over a bottle of it to try if you like Purple Prep. It's thicker, it's stronger. You can cut it 1-to-1 and it clings more. So it's gonna, you know.
Okay.
Now, I just want to know, what is like one of your worst experiences and one of your worst jobs that you had to deal with along the journey? Do you have one?
I've got a couple incidents. One time I had a Windstream truck, and I had two lifts, one symmetrical, one asymmetrical. And I told my employee, I said, hey, pull that truck in. We were doing something on it. And one lift I had was a truck lift, and one was my car lift, right? Well, those Windstream trucks, it's a telecommunications company. They've got those big white toolboxes that weigh 1 million pounds. He brings it in. Me, being a lazy employer at the time, stayed in the office, just pointed and told people what to do. I told him, said, hey, bring that truck in, do whatever. He brings it in, and I hear the garage door open. I hear the garage door shut. Within 3 minutes, I hear, I'm like, what was that? He didn't get it on the lift right, and it fell, and the arm swung out, caught the side of it, had the truck up on its side, and I'm just like, oh my God, there goes my insurance. But that was
back up.
very, very carefully. I had transmission jacks. So we used transmission jacks, and then my cherry picker hooked it, cherry picked it up, got it back up, got the arm situated, and brought the vehicle back down. Okay. It had tore up the Nerf bar, the whole rocker, pushed up the bottom of the floor pan. It was a mess. And I had Windstream's contract at the time, and I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But they were pretty cool. I paid out of pocket, fixed it, continued on with my business.
Cool.
Um,
Yeah, okay.
And I think that's an important point. A lot of people today, they don't realize that mistakes happen,
Yeah.
right? You cannot be in this industry and be perfect. You are going to mess things up sometimes. And that mess up does not define you. What defines you is how you handle that. If you approach your customer and be like, hey, I effed up, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be cool with it. Very, very understanding. But when you try to hide that,
they just want you to take care of it.
Absolutely. And if that means you come out of pocket for a rental car, you do it. You don't hide things. And it happens a lot. You know, you see people mess things up and they don't take ownership. Taking ownership of your mistakes and realizing that mistakes are going to happen are so important. You know, I had one of my mechanics caught a car on fire. He pulled the gas line and was smoking a cigarette at the same time.
Oh.
You want to hear a crazy story?
Yes.
Okay, so I called him. I had 2 employees. I had Big Dave and Little Dave. Big Dave was an ASE certified master tech. I took him from the local GMC dealership, brought him over to work for me. Little Dave was like a helper. He was an apprentice moving up. And I used to have a bunch of rental properties. And so when I brought these boys to Crocker, they were men, but brought them to Crocker, they were living in Waynesville at the time and the drive and all of that. So I put them in one of my rental properties, which was about 2-3 miles behind my shop on a gravel road. And one day they leave for lunch, right? And they took my shop truck. Well, hour later, Little Dave comes back and he's walking. And I'm like, where's Big Dave, dude? Like, and where's my truck? I had a little Mazda B2200. And he's like, I don't know. He told me he'd be right back and he never came back.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay. And he decided to try to unalive himself that day in my truck.
Oh.
Deadheaded a tree on his lunch break.
No.
And I'm like, I see so where my shop was in Crocker, I'm right on Highway 17 and there's a gravel road that's right next to me. He took my truck, wrapped it around a tree, thinking that he was going to unalive himself. Because I don't know if that'll get censored.
Yeah.
Really, he banged his head, got a concussion, blood, tore up the whole front end of it. And it was a crazy story. Like,
that's insane.
Come to find out, like, yes. And me, I didn't know what to do. And I'm like, well, I need to help him, like after medical treatment.
Yeah.
And I'm a big mental health advocate.
Yeah.
And so I got him into a treatment, like, because that's just not normal. Like, we all have bad times.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
When the world,
if you're taking it that far, you're in
in the red zone. Yeah. So wherever Big Dave is right now, we're going to send you some healing energy. Wherever Big Dave is.
Absolutely. He's doing good.
That's
He's doing good. He's doing good.
You know what? A lot of times we don't realize that things aren't as bad as they are. It's just that when you're in it and you're knee deep in it, you just feel like your right now is going to last forever. You know, when I'm talking to, I have a big family. And when I'm talking to, you know, some of the young ones in my family that are experiencing things for the first time, I'm like, this is not your forever. It feels like it's your forever, but this is just it. You got some lessons to learn. You got some right decisions to make, but right now it's not your forever. Now, you're going to feel this again with something else that you can come across, but we have our valleys that we dwell in, and then we have our mountain peaks, you know, and when we at the mountaintop, that's when things are at its best. You feel good, but we all go up and down. It's just a part of life. And a lot of it comes with the lessons and the things that we're not doing right. So Dave, Big Dave, we want to shout you out.
I like that you had a Big Dave and a Little Dave.
Right.
I didn't know what to call them. I make up weird names for everybody. I say Big Dave, Little Dave. They were both named Dave. And then I put them in my rental and they like lived together and their personalities were so different. And I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? But it all worked.
What are we going to do with the Daves?
That's good. Send them some healing energy. Where you at, Dave?
Everybody needs an Auntie Blue. You just need to have like some motivational speak.
Let me tell you, I fell in love with her the day I met her. She's a different type of human over there.
Yeah. I work on it though. I tell
it.
people that I work on this. People always say, you're just such a good person. It's a light blue and a dark blue side, but it's about which one I feed the most. And I want to vibrate as high as possible. And I want to feel as good as possible. And I want that around me, so if I see somebody that's down, even if I'm down, you might not know it, I'm still going to try to lift you up, but yeah, it's rough out here. It's a lot going on that people deal with that they don't, just like I said, for the first time. And, you just have to be open and aware of what your surroundings are and the different energies that you allow in your life. And then also take responsibility for what you do. Because a lot of times people put everything off on other people. Like it's their fault. Okay, but you're the nucleus. So you got to check you first and then start working.
Absolutely.
And once you
accountability is a must.
Yeah. And they say once you change, the things around you will change, and then sometimes you have a hard time because it's certain people not supposed to be there. So until you do what you need to do, that hard time is going to be there.
If you would have accepted my friend's request like 2 years ago when I sent it, no, I wouldn't have been paying $100 an hour from therapy. I could have just said,
Angie, I apologize. I got so many free requests out there.
Here we go. I got so many friend requests.
I'm gonna have to go through it. Oh, now I'm turning red.
Let me ask a couple questions. So I know I've had people ask me this, like, with Superior, are you guys open to like getting more into compounds? Like, cause that's been a big question. Like they love the lineup. I've used the compounds if you are experienced behind a buffer, you can make them work. They dust a little. I haven't used the new formulas, but have you guys thought about like expanding more into compounds, polishes, pads, and stuff more along that line instead of just the soaps, degreasers? Have you guys thought about that?
Yeah, there were two projects that we were working on pre-COVID. One was ceramics and one was compounds. And we have a 3-step compound process that we just never ended up releasing because we didn't get the testing done on our end that we wanted to do. Okay. It's formulated, it's there. It's just, I think that it needs a little more testing done and seeing what needs to be tweaked, but it's definitely on the lineup. I think before we go too far into that, we will release a new ceramic coating and ceramic spray that will probably take precedence over the compound lineup, just because we're a little bit closer with the formulas on the ceramics. So yes, to answer your question, but I don't know when.
And market wise, at the end of the day, it's all about, that bottom line. And there's such a huge market for ceramics and Superiors. I've got the ceramic coating on a 99 Harley right now. And, Harley gas or any motorcycle gas tank, they take a beating. And that thing, I've refreshed it once, but it's still there and it's still holding up good. And I've used a few of the ceramic kits. I wish my O'Reilly's kept it in stock, because when I need something, I need it, like I'll stock maybe 1 or 2 kits and then I'll get a big truck and I'll use them and I'll forget to reorder. Or O'Reilly's, I love O'Reilly's, but sometimes we don't get what we need when we need it. And
I could reach out to them, to see if we need to like raise the max on the inventory
at the DC.
Yeah. So, you won't run into that problem. So when this is over, or tomorrow, I'll give you a call just to follow up with you and to see what problems you might have, what products you're having issues with keeping in stock. So we could do that.
What is that ceramic coating rated for? How many years?
3 to 5.
2 years in. Okay. I'm
It's a-
2 years in and it's still performing.
Yeah, it's a 3 to 5. It's going to depend on weather, like
The
everything
environment.
else. If you're in
Vermont, like one of my TSMs in Vermont, he said by the weather being what it is up there, it lasts for about 2 years, and then I've had other people to tell me like, hey, we're still rocking 3 years here. So it like she said, depends on that environment.
our
And
coating
two, I
is,
think, go ahead.
no, I think our coding is good. I think that we can do better. I think I always try to, see how we can make things better and still cost what they need to cost. Silicones are a mess right now.
Yeah.
They are a shit show. Check that box again, because you can't even get silicones, and ceramics are, silicones. So
when you do your ceramic lineup, a problem that I see in a lot of detailers, and I don't think enough manufacturers address the problem, is people don't understand what a failed coating is and what a clogged coating is. Just because your coating is not performing like it needs to doesn't mean it's gone. We can lose hydrophobic properties, but that coating protection still be there. And people are redoing cars when really, if they would have just done a proper decon, they would have been good, and then hit it with, if the coating's still there, it's just losing a little bit of its hydrophobics, refresh it and keep going on with it. Because you're putting a not thick, but that barrier layer. Yeah. And I think people are so consumed with beading, and that's not what it's all about.
Right. So focus on how to maintain it properly, and how to help people understand the maintenance that's involved, after a year or after 2 years, or if you're seeing this, suggest this before you just strip it and start over.
Absolutely. Because it's a lot of work to strip one. It's a lot of unnecessary work if all you can do is decon it. I use a lot of wire wheel. I dilute mine. It's always the lower panels, they get clogged. It's a pore. They've got pores. So it's like kind of like your skin, it gets clogged. Well, if you chemical peel, like, release the contaminants out of that, you're still going to be okay. It's still there. It's just not performing like it should because it is clogged. And even on the consumer end, I've seen people, I've addressed it in some of the groups. They're like, hey, I put this coating on. I'm like, well, did you decon it? And they're like, well, I washed it. Well, you can't do that, especially with iron particles. They stick in there, and decon it, you degrease it, and usually you're good to go.
Yeah.
So we're going to wrap up here, but I cut you off and I didn't mean to earlier.
No, so because we need like 2 episodes with her.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I would want to get more into, your process just for like helping other people, if they're trying to get a job at a body shop, or if they're, wanting to go into that industry. Maybe we'll do Angie part 2. Yeah. And if you don't mind, maybe we'll hop on for another call and we can go a little bit more into how you do certain things. I'm not in the body shop industry, nor am I. So we can't, help people out like you probably could. So that would probably put us way over time if I started.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
But
I don't think that's a bad idea, because people get so consumed into detailing, and really detailing doesn't pay as much as like doing body work, but there's a lot of services that these detailers could add to their menu that don't take a whole lot of money, but has a high profit margin. Like I've been a U-Haul dealer for 15 years. That's like another service people could, I did a one-way to Alaska from Richland the other day, and the whole process took me 10 minutes and I made $1,200, in 10 minutes worth of work. Now you don't get those all the time, but adding services like small bumper repair, stuff that's super easy to do. And I've taught my 14-year-old how to do it.
Right.
Are things that a lot of these struggling detailers could add that could help them feed their families.
We should go visit Angie and have her teach us how to fix a bumper.
What's a bumper? All right. So we're going to wrap this up, Angie. We truly appreciate you coming on. I want you to go ahead and shout out your business, your location again, and how people cannot get in contact with you on Facebook and your social media.
Or text message. I'm horrible. But I think that's more like whenever you like kind of go through things in life, you kind of like disassociate. And I'm that, hi, I'm Angie, I disassociate.
Yeah, with you.
But Angie Barba, Emerge Customs in Richland, Missouri. And you can find me on Facebook. I've got Emerge Customs, and then my personal profile.
Thank you for reaching out when you did and saying, get your shit together and get online and start doing something, because it's been great. It's been the influencers that have picked up products and done YouTube videos for us. Thank you, because it's been crazy what that can do for you.
I'd like to give a shout out to Chelsea from Attention to Detailing. So Chelsea was somebody that was in the groups, and I met her, and this is before she had a YouTube channel, and her and I communicate quite a bit, and I've loved watching her grow. I've loved watching her take all these bits of information and using them, making them her own. And she's one who did not use Superior products, and I'm like, yo, you got to check these out. Like, they're good for your business. And watching her growth. And if there's any females that want to get into this industry, watch Chelsea. She's very informative.
Yeah. We did an interview. She's going to be one of the first podcasts that we released. She was on there, and then a guy named Ruben from California.
And his wife, Shauna.
And his wife. Yes.
I forgot her. I forgot to put Shauna on the flyer, and Ruben started buying our products about a year ago. He reached out to me. And when I tell you, this man and his wife have the entire line, they do. And just so easy to work with, and just really good advocates for Superior products like yourself. We really appreciate it. But I forgot Shauna and left her off the flyer. And I get a text like, you forgot Shauna. And I'm like, I'll put it in there, but I didn't realize she was talking about the flyer. So
tell them don't let their feelings be hurt, because at least they got the friends request. I didn't get that.
Okay, Angie. That is too funny. I will go through, but I appreciate you and thank you so much. This was awesome.
There's the Facebook detailing for women, for ladies or whatever. Are you on that? Because I think Chelsea added me to that. Do you know what it's called? If there's any ladies listening to join that group?
I cannot remember. I'm a part of that group, and the lady that created it is Royal Reflex. She owns Royal Reflections. She's got her own line of detailing products, but I cannot remember the name of the group. I was pretty active in it. Well, not really. It's active for me. And since I've kind of taken a hiatus from social media, I haven't been on there much, but it's a good resource as well. Just look up Royal Reflections and you'll find, I cannot recall her name right now.
Ladies of Detailing or something like that. But all right. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate you. We will take you up on an episode 2 so we can talk a little bit more about compounds and auto body stuff if you're up for it. And
absolutely,
we definitely appreciate you and your support, and thank you.
Thank you
for tuning in to our awesome podcast. We really appreciate it. Make sure you like, subscribe, click the bell, share, comment, 100%. And if you're interested in being interviewed on our Pro Detailer series, please do reach out to us on social media. We are out. Peace.